from the grassroots, connecting people and sharing ideas.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, this is Gowri.
Good morning, this is Grace.
Oh, Grace, you are here with us. And yes, we are continuing our discussion with our ABC focus. And today we are going to talk about startup prospects in ASEAN. So when we talk about startups, we don't usually think about Southeast Asia. We would think about, Silicon Valley, Palo Alto, all these amazing tech startups in the US. We even think about, when it comes to startups culture, it's not really something that we would associate with Southeast Asia, but in reality, there are more and more young people that are choosing to open their own business or focusing more, on the tech startups than working with larger corporations.
That's correct. We see more people, especially from young generations, they want to look into all these areas to become own business owners or entrepreneurs. And especially in Malaysia, as we all aware of Magic, who actually started really small with having idea of training
Magic is
people.
not small. It's all
but it
money
started
pumped by the
small.
government.
Yeah, but it started small and now they are acknowledged and also recognized by the government and getting the support from government as well. But other than that, if you are talking about Malaysia, we have so many startups, so many initiatives, community like Startup Mama, and then we also have
What, Startup Mama?
yeah, Mama.
Really?
Yeah. In Malaysia, it's getting pretty famous, and also the one we invited Marcus from. Google Business Group in Malaysia. They're also looking into startups in Malaysia.
So if I can just give a little definition or a different take on what startup really is. And of course, startup, according to the dictionary, will mean to act or an instance of setting in operation or motion or a fledgling business enterprise. But a lot of young people who are into startups actually say that startup is a state of mind. And I think that's also what one of our speakers said. His name is Mike Smith, if I remember correctly. He said startups always starts in your head because for young people, especially in Malaysia, we're always scared to step out of the comfort zone, scared to take risk. But if you don't actually come up with that idea and you don't execute it, nothing is going to happen. You're just going to be stuck in another boring job that you probably don't like for the rest of your life. So it always starts in your head and you pursue it from there.
Well, it starts in your head, but then the question is how do you carry out whatever plans are in your head? So that's when we have all those events going on, conferences going on, and that creates more opportunities for people.
That's true. And what
Yeah.
you said is right. In fact, by this weekend, there are a few events going on in Cyberjaya as well as in KL. On the area regarding on startups.
And they're touching on the different topics like with the development of technology, some events are touching on the technology part, whereas some are touching on the starting how to start a business by yourself and so on.
But as much as we want to tell this young people like, hey, you can start it on your own, you just need to be more resilient, hardworking, be more in tune with the opportunities out there. But we can't help to see that majority of the startups, in fact, if you are talking about percentage, in fact, around 80% of the startups fail only by the first year. So to be successful in startups, like what we see with Facebook, with Google, is not easy. In fact, it's almost impossible.
Because to set up the business is very easy. You just need to register. However, to carry out and to execute the particular business plan or your own plan, it's not easy because you need to be able to maintain your plan, have good network, have a good team in your own business part, and then also fund. When it comes to capital, you cannot ignore the money in that sense.
And also when it comes to that, like Grace mentioned, of course it's very easy to start a business, but to actually develop it to let it
And
grow
make
and
it sustainable.
exactly, and to have some sort of an impact on the community around you. Of course, it's a lot of hard work, and also like you mentioned, Arlene, that it's not easy. Of course, people fail, but then again, that's kind of how you learn. If you don't make mistakes, you don't learn, and that's something that everyone knows. But of course, it's not easy when once you fail, you get so discouraged, and you're like, this is not working, this is not me. But to go beyond that and to still be very resilient and to go for it, that's the key challenge here, of course.
And I mean, talking about startup in the US, the reality why it's easier to have a startup in countries like the US or even Australia, if you want to talk about the closest neighboring country, is because it's easy to actually set up a company there. You just need some funding and register your company. Voila, you get a startup. But in certain countries, for example, in certain countries in Southeast Asia, it's not that easy. You have to go through so many red tapes to the extent that it's better to work with some other companies than, in fact, to even start up anything. A lot of people who do start up complain a few things, and a lot of the few things are actually related to the way government operates. Yeah, right. I mean, the way the government operates, they still don't understand the importance of SME, small and medium enterprises.
And the SMEs, of course, play a huge role in the economic development, especially in the AEC that's coming up
economic community
next year, because they make up a huge percentage of the businesses, and they are the ones who will eventually contribute and attract more investors to come into this region.
But it's a bit too late for the government to focus it now. It should have been one of the key agenda in the Malaysia plans. Even though it is part of the Malaysia plan, but it has never been such a key highlight, even though SME constituted 97% of all the businesses in Malaysia, for example. But when it comes to other countries, for example, let's just give us an example of a country. Singapore is actually the one topping the startup spots in Southeast Asia. That is such an irony, because it's such a small country, but when it comes to capital investment and it comes to starting a business, how easy it is, and when it comes to the climate of business, meaning that you don't have to bribe an officer to do business, you can do business smoothly, you can get customer easily. It is Singapore.
That's correct. With more startups, obviously there's a potential for, by the large companies to on the lookout to expand their business, to get a new technology rises. And also last year, 2013, there was a huge fund, around $454 million worth of venturing in capital deals were done in Singapore.
And Singapore, we also have to thank Singapore, because that's the country, like you mentioned, although they're really small, they're so powerful that they are the ones actually attracting foreign investors to come in. And I remember once when I was in China and I told people that I'm from Malaysia, and they said, is it the one above Singapore? Like, hello, Singapore is so small. Why do you know Singapore and not Malaysia?
The worst thing is,
right?
At least they know, where is it located is above Singapore. The worst thing is I have to explain. This was a few years back when Malaysia is still like a nobody. That song Wonder Girl. So when I have to explain Singapore, it will be like it's sandwich between Thailand and Singapore. Where Malaysia is sandwiched between Thailand and Singapore. So we are the meat in between the two buns.
Right. And also they have big names like Sequoia Capital, DCM, IDG Ventures, and all these big names have already set up their shops in the region, along with all the major Japanese players as well. And also recently, Singapore government announced major early stage VCs arriving in the country, and even new plans for the government matches to their funding. And what's more impressive is that they have nearly 50 other VCs applied to this program, and the atmosphere is definitely interesting. and it's all happening down in Singapore.
And also this visit still in Southeast Asia has been growing since 2007. And one of the brand that we are very well aware is Zalora. Zalora is actually a
Singaporean brand.
it's actually German
it's
internet
German.
incubator. Who's the founder of Zalora. But then they're particularly aimed at Asian countries, Asian market. And then it's been going on for a couple of years, and it's actually considered as a startup as well. And then it's been growing, and it's online clothing shopping, and it's pretty famous. It has become they have been earning the fame and then increased the popularity. So it's pretty a successful startup business that you can give an example.
I found something interesting here, going back to what you said earlier, Arlene, that it's a lot easier to start a company in the US because they have their Silicon Valley and it's more conducive. But some investors beg to differ. They said the valley is too noisy, too crowded. So they're actually coming down to Southeast Asia now because there's a lot more free space down
Are
here.
they kidding?
There's a lot more untapped talent, untapped market. So they say that that's one of the reasons why people should start coming to Southeast Asia instead of going to the valley there.
Wow, it's too noisy. Imagine Malaysia and all the other Southeast Asia. We are noisier. But okay, not to underestimate Malaysian startups. We have great startups. It's just that you didn't know they are Malaysian brands. I think a few weeks ago, a lot of Malaysians were surprised when chilisauce.my actually made an article showing that 12 brands you didn't know were actually made by Malaysians or made in Malaysia. And one of the brand, surprise, is actually British India. Who knows? I assume British India could be from either UK or is a non-Malaysian brand. But who knows? All these amazing brands were actually Malaysian and they have been here for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, a lot of startups in Malaysia, if you really notice, they're trying to grow, but not trying to create that Malaysian image that we want them. And it's quite sad because a lot of Malaysian startups, it's quite, to them to be able to go global is to create a branding that is, sounding a bit European or sounding a bit more or sounding foreign.
Yeah, they talk about the quality here when it comes to branding. Of course, because they use the English language, so of course they will try to target the outside from Malaysia as well, rather than try to use our own language, Malay or Chinese, because somehow when we use our own language, it drops the bit of a quality and credibility to sell with our own products. But like for example, British India, it does sound quite. It carries the quality itself by the sounding of it, British India. So people don't mind buying stuff from there, and only after that they realize it's actually a Malaysian brand. Yeah.
So do you agree to be a successful startup, meaning you have to market yourself as a foreign brand rather than a Southeast Asian brand?
For now, I very much agree with that because everywhere you go, especially in KL or even Penang, is slowly moving into that culture where people only will buy something if it has a foreign name, especially if it has a French name. So even if you go to Bangsa, a lot of bakeries have resorted to coming up with French names. Even a hair salon, I remember walking into this hair salon where they had a French name, but everyone there were Indonesians, and I was pretty surprised. Like, hey, where's my French hairstylist that I was expecting? So, and also like you mentioned earlier, a lot of people don't know that these brands are actually Malaysian, which is probably why they're consuming it in the first place. And if they actually knew, after we go through the list, they will probably be like, oh, this is Malaysian.
So this is so bata, they will probably say. I want to show you that they are successful local brands. Look, when I say local, meaning Southeast Asian brands that manage to maintain that Southeast Asian flavor, but at the same time expand beyond their country's shore. And I'm talking about two startups. One is from Indonesia. I'm sure you tried before, Jco Donuts. They are actually much better than a lot of the non-Southeast Asia one. I prefer Jco over Big Apple and Krispy Kreme. Another one is a fast food joint. It's called Jollibee. is from the Philippines, and I love it. It's really interesting.
Jollibee
But
is like
again-
their version of McDonald's.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's their version, and in fact, I prefer Jollibee. I wish there's a Jollibee in Malaysia, but unfortunately they sell non-halal stuff.
Well, but then again, the branding there, it does. Both of them, they don't sound like their own countries. It sounds like very foreign, and that it does attract people when it comes to branding their names. But when you go to South Asia context, talking about startups mainly here, we all know that Asia is very big, and it's such a big place in the world, and it could actually become bigger than what we actually can think of. And one of them is, I'm looking at this website called Startup Asia in Jakarta 2014. They have this beautiful, simple designed website here that we can actually get lots of information and what's happening in Asia now. And then they are targeting all the startups in Asia. And then they also have this collaboration with the US. So one of them is called Tech in Asia. It's an online technology media company based across Asia and the US. And then the few journalists and the bloggers with the culture and passion for new ways of delivering tech and the startup news, they actually bonded together on the one goal, which is to share the world and the regional audiences on the latest happenings in Asia's technology and the startup scenes. So I would say it's a very good initiative, and also to encourage people when it comes to startups in the Asian regions.
So, Gowri, if there's one startup that you felt was very either Malaysian or Southeast Asian, what would that be?
Very Malaysian or Southeast Asian.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned a few names. She mentioned Zalora, which is actually, I would say, considered more German than Southeast Asian.
Well, but then they targeted Asian countries. It's
Yeah.
very famous among Asian countries.
Well, I think it would have to be maybe Bonia.
Really?
Yeah.
But Bonia has been here for years, so I don't consider it as a startup anymore.
Okay.
So the up and coming ones, if you look at in Malaysia or in Southeast Asia, which are the one of those very few successful startups?
There's this one that place that's like our own McDonald's as well. I think it's called Mary Brown.
Yeah.
So I think they are doing very well as well, because they started out and nobody thought that it was gonna go anywhere, because we already have McDonald's, Burger King, even Wendy's. But they actually managed to tap into the market, and they have quite a number of branches all over Malaysia. I'm not too sure about outside Malaysia, so yeah, that would be my choice.
A lot of people do not know, but on the northern side of Malaysia, there's this one fast food joint. I don't think they have any shops in KL, but I remember back in my days in Kedah, there's this one startup called Chicken King. They look exactly like McDonald's, but they are not. They are actually Chicken King.
Okay.
my point. Sorry, I got distracted.
I was trying to comprehend.
I got distracted. But anyway, my point is, startups. It's easy to start. You just need to know what are the needs of the society there.
Actually, another thing that I want to mention is also Fipper, because when it came out, it was all the rage in Malaysia. I remember
Yes.
everybody wanted to own a pair of Fippers, and I was
Yes.
no exception, because I'm.
And
as
you thought
know,
it was something
as
like
a-
Crocs, which is not a
Yeah,
non-Malaysian
yeah.
brand.
And I mean, you guys know that I love my flip-flops, and I love to wear my slippers, and that
Really?
was very comfortable.
It is
And-
comfortable for sure.
Right, and
I thought you loved to wear your bata.
I didn't know that was Malaysian at that point, but of course that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop buying it. I still like it, and yeah.
And then the next startup, the surprising news is starting in India right now.
Yeah,
And
the
rather
ones
than
in India.
Yes, investors and entrepreneurs, they see all this potential having the startup culture in India. Where it wasn't really obvious and or evident before, but now this with the Prime Minister Modi's platform, he's quickly maneuvering this the motive in India to encourage people to have more startups in the country.
But startup can only prosper in a nation where the country has lucid and transparent regulation, and a lot of the startup fail in certain countries is because there's too many red tapes. The regulations are not transparent enough, and in fact there's no assistance, especially funding assistance, for them to be able to prosper. When it comes to funding, it doesn't necessarily has to be from the government, but it could be from angel investors, where in the US it will be a culture where you actually fund a startup that you feel would be able to go far, but it's a gamble at the same time because it might not go far. In the culture of Malaysia, from what our conversation with a few startups founders shows, that a lot of the those who are the old money, meaning those with money but they are in the old industry, they don't dare to take the risk to fund this really young up and coming startups companies.
And again, it comes with the credibility, how they can trust this business or new fresh idea they came up with. But however, there are a few online websites if you need to look for the funding, because such as Indiegogo, it's actually a funding website where you can just propose what your project is about.
So you're talking about crowdfunding as one of the other
it's
areas.
Not only Asian countries, but around the world. If you can propose to online and then try to, set a period of time that you need this amount of budget for this project, then people actually do, send their donations or
Kickstarter
funding.
also do the same thing.
And also, I have a little statistic here to talk about the Southeast Asian startup opportunity by country. But since we don't have much time, I probably just focus on Malaysia. So it seems that to talk about the semi-mature and sectors that are still in its infancy. So surprisingly, we have Time Out KL, Spotify, even Facebook that's not being used to its full potential for these future startups that you can break into actually. So even sectors like ticketing, event, finance, rental, education, microwork, subscription retail, all these are still at its infancy. So if anyone wants to venture out to come up with a startup, these are the areas that they can look at.
Definitely, we have few options there.
Right, and to talk about the semi-mature sectors, we have transportation like Grab Taxi, Carlist. We also have travel, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is also not being used that much in Malaysia as well. Lazada, Lawyat, and also Mudah.my.
So there's a lot of avenues, but it also shows that people in Southeast Asia in general not having that kind of awareness about the startup opportunities out there.
And also to look at Southeast Asia, the most saturated startup would be Groupon actually, which
Groupon
I think
is very
Malaysians
Oh, that's totally local, isn't it?
And also Craigslist and Blogspot. Blogspot is also being widely used in Southeast Asia.
That is correct.
I'm just going to name a few startups, the top 5 startups in ASEAN that actually won a competition, and one of it is Smart Byte. So to create a startup is actually not that hard. You just need to have a great idea and you need to address the needs of society. And Smart Byte is from Vietnam. It is a winner of this competition. Nowadays, a lot of big events, they hold competition to, just to create the excitement for people who do startups. And it shows that you all know that Vietnam has a huge population that prefer to drive a motorbike than driving a car, which is a great thing. So having to address the needs of society is one of the key areas.
Definitely. Then only then the business can expand, because that fulfills the society's needs.
So at the end of the day, to create a startup is not hard. But the challenges is how can a company sustain itself. That would probably need another show that we can talk about.
Well,
in
but then
Southeast Asia.
with that, definitely networking is very important. Meeting a lot of people, because at the end of the day, your idea is nothing new. It's like, there will be other people who actually will probably share the same ideas that you have. So it's really important to share your ideas and meet people, get some advice, recommendations, and then, without just telling people, I really have no idea how to start. But then go out and mingle and meet people. That's the best way you can expand your business.
That's true.
And it's not about what you know, but who you know. So I
Exactly.
agree with Grace on that.
So I have this startup idea
Uh-huh.
that I want to create a durian opener without using any knife.
Okay, we'll continue
talk
that
about
topic
Cricket,
next
cricket,
time.
cricket.
Okay. Anyway, we'll continue with our ABC dialogue later on,
Yeah.
where we will talk with Said Azmi. He is the organizer of I Want to Touch a Dog, but
And
also
we'll
another
be
interesting topic.
looking at what other things that he's been working on, and trying to get to know him on a more personal level.
on a
Definitely.
very intimate and personal level, definitely.
Okay.
Don't forget to listen to us on www.durianasean.com.
And please like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter. We also have a YouTube channel. And Grace, what if they're on the move and they want to listen to us, but they don't have their computer with them?
Thank you. Yes, what you can do is we have this download app called
TuneIn.
TuneIn. So do find us, Durian ASEAN, then you can listen to us straight away.